Welcome to the channel. Still working on the backlog of things that I got over Black Friday and the holidays on sale. And up today, there's a first for the channel. We got a controller here. And this is the, I believe it's pronounced Gamesir. Well, if not, that's how we're going to pronounce it today. Gamesir G8 Plus Galileo controller, the Bluetooth version. And I got this because I have some tablets and other devices that I would like to have controller support for. So, taking a look at this thing, the box, we're going to open it up in a minute, but a couple of things this advertises. Hey, you got wired support, Bluetooth support, and apparently 2.4G. So we got Hall sticks. For Nintendo fans, you can swap out A, B, X, and Y. I'm not going to do that because this is for Android for me. I have a Switch, but probably won't be testing it with the Switch today just because, well, my Switch's battery's dead. So there's that. So looks like a pretty nice device if you can get it for the right price. So let's go ahead and open the box and see what's in here. So I've got my box opening scissors here, and this should be able to let me get in any box I want to. Hopefully I won't need those too much for this box, but they're here just in case. So looks like this is the obvious place to start. Yeah, still didn't want to open. There we go. Only tore the box twice. So, pull this out of here. And let's get a good look at this controller. I guess it's a nice touch. They put a, yeah, it's trying to pair with something, I think. They put some caps over here. Looks like we have some replaceable caps if we want. I guess if you want a teeny tiny joystick. So we've got some of that. The box. What's in the box? Let's find out. Looks like a cable, stickers, stuff, an instruction manual here. May have to look at that just to see how to make this controller pair with something over Bluetooth, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's actually get the controller out. Actually pretty heavy. And by default it opens up pretty wide here. Looks like that's what we got. Hopefully you can see what's underneath the bottom. Terrible noise there. So let's put some of this stuff aside and see what we can do with this controller. So I've gotten the controller out of the box, put the box stuff aside for now, and hooked it up to my PC. The little green light on the, presumably it's the home button there. So was not a real problem to hook it to the PC. I just used the provided cable. Hooked it up, it got recognized immediately, so recognized as just an X input controller. So shouldn't be any problem if you want to just use this as a controller. I mean, there's no law that says you have to stick a handheld in here or a tablet. So seems to work fine with a PC. Let's take a look at just the buttons and whatnot. So we've got a fairly It's a slightly clicky D-pad. Doesn't seem to be a micro switch one like in the G8 HE controller, but I mean, I don't use the D-pad honestly for much except for menu selections, and for that it certainly will work fine. I mean, I think if you were playing some platformers, this would probably do good for you. We've got analog sticks here, nice and full-size analog sticks. You know, you get spoiled by using bigger controllers, and then if you use one of these portable controllers with switch sticks, it just doesn't feel so good. So the analog sticks here feel pretty smooth moving them, and we can see if they're the round type here. So nice, smooth response here. Feels pretty good. Of course, we got our buttons. These are not micro switch buttons, so they're not terribly clicky. They're not really terribly loud either. I mean, typical PS4, PS5, Xbox sounding buttons, so they're not overly loud if you're concerned about that sort of thing. These are labeled like switch buttons, plus and minus, but they're the usual buttons you'd find on an Xbox controller. Bumpers. Nothing objectionable about the bumpers. We got the analog triggers here. They actually feel pretty smooth, and I found by reading the fine manual that you can actually set these to be essentially hair trigger mode, so that they're digital. You just hold down this macro button and hold down the trigger until it vibrates, and now the button is set to either on or off. So if you need digital inputs effectively for playing some kind of games, the settings are independent. So right now I have the left button is analog and the right button is digital, but you can set each one independently. Hold down macro in the button until it vibrates, and you have digital controls here if you want that. I'm going to set them back to analog. So there we go. So far there's also some L4, R4 buttons on the back. I generally don't use these, but I know some people like to have them. They're useful, for example, if you've got an emulator and you want to configure some extra buttons, but I generally don't use them when I'm playing PC games, or really games on Android for that matter. So far, just testing it out with the test app here. Seems to work good. Now, at some point, we actually want to try some games with this and actually hook this up to some other devices rather than just the PC. Now, one thing about this controller here is it can be pretty wide. I have a Razer Kishi V2 Pro that came with my Razer Edge. Gets to be about that wide. This one here, I think it stretches out a little further. Let's do a comparison. Yeah, the G8 Plus, it definitely opens up wider than the Kishi Pro V2 does. Why is that important? Well, if you have a little tablet here, this controller would be nice to maybe pair with this tablet, but unfortunately, it just doesn't open up wide enough. Whereas this one, I've got the Bluetooth one here just for variety. This one's USB-C. But I'm pretty sure I can stick this in here and it'll work just fine. So this is a one of the smaller Samsung tablets here, but sits in there. Actually, feels pretty secure. A little heavy now because this little Samsung tablet actually has some weight to it. You can see, holds it in fairly well. Unfortunately, this is not a terribly good tablet, but it is a good device to demonstrate with. So I think what we'll do is we'll see if we can get this paired up and see how this plays some games. Okay, so I have removed the tablet here from, this is a Samsung A7 Lite tablet. Again, not a particularly powerful tablet, but it's a small one, so might make for a good little game system paired with this controller. Now, to get this to pair to Android, I think according to the manual, you're supposed to hold down this dot button right here and A at the same time. The light flashes yellow for pairing, and let's see if the tablet picks this up at some point. I've had this sitting here a while, so let me make sure oh, there it goes. Turn the Bluetooth off and back on for a second. Let's see if this will pair. All right. It says it's connecting. Yeah, so it's not. Yep. Oh, there it goes. Just took it a while. So I wonder if using a different mode is quicker with this particular tablet. Like I said, this is not a terribly powerful tablet, so I'm used to it being slow doing everything. So let's put this back into the controller. Get it seated down there really good. Seems to be to fit okay. Seems to have a good bit of grip here. So let's actually start up a game and see if it's going to work. So we got a couple games on here. Not going to hook up the sound just because. Wonder if you can play a little GTA 3 with the controller. This tablet's probably fast enough to manage GTA 3. I would actually pick this one up for a little while. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I actually did much GTA 3 on here, but let's see. We can do some stuff. Can we skip this? Good. Right. And for this game, lag doesn't seem too bad. You know, sometimes we talk about Bluetooth controllers having lag. Of course, this isn't a platformer, but on the other hand, you might not notice much lag on this particular tablet because this tablet is slow. It seemed to work fine, though, with the Grand Theft Auto here. Not being an excellent driver right now, but I'm just playing around with the buttons. Not really trying to be a super skilled driver at the moment. we go. So looks like this works okay so far. So looks like controller works decently well with native Android games. Let's try an emulator. The only emulator I have installed on this old tablet here for the moment is PSP. So let's load up a game. I don't know if I have any fast-paced action games here, but I do know I have a save file for Persona 3 from a couple of years ago, where we can at least go into the three-dimensional part. The lag there is this old tablet. Doesn't have anything to do with the controller. Probably try to optimize this if I'm going to use it seriously, but I didn't use this tablet for emulation very long just because it was so slow. But the controller works fine on it, so if you have a more capable tablet, like one of those small Lenovo's, then this should fit it pretty well. This tablet, I guess, technically is an 8.5-inch screen, thereabouts. Oh, got my head in the picture. So this tablet apparently is about an 8.5-inch tablet. I guess they probably called it an 8-inch tablet. So, and there is a little more room, just barely, fit something wider. I suspect one of those Lenovo small tablets would fit this. And you have a, I guess, big screen gaming handheld. Let's look at some more devices, though. So next, I pulled out my Pimax Portal, and as you might know, the Pimax comes with these odd magnetic controllers that work with the unit. Problem with these, though, is particularly if you look at the analog sticks, not much to these. Just your basic switch sticks. They don't have a lot of travel. They're not very precise, and the shoulder buttons in particular on this device are horrific. So, people complain about the kind of switch-like D-pad here, but the real problem with these little built-in controllers are these shoulder buttons. Sometimes they just don't register at all. So, let's see if we can improve the Pimax Portal using this new controller. So, a USB one wouldn't really work for this device because the USB port is on the bottom. So, maybe it'll work for us here. So, the thing about this is half of the functions on this device are hidden in this weird Pimax menu. So we're going to go Bluetooth here. We're going to put it in pairing mode. And it showed up twice, I think because I tested this out once before. Notice the menus don't make any sense. It asked me to unpair the device. And now it's paired. So, lovely menu setup you have here. Unpair the device, makes it paired. Go figure. But it does appear to be working. So, load up an emulator here. do a little Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance. I may have to remap the controls here because usually you have to do that with Nether SX2. So let's see if it actually, yeah, it's not responding to the buttons. So we will have to do a little remapping here, which luckily is easy. So just go under controller port 1, automatic mapping. See, it's got the Pimax controller there, so we'll just set it to the other controller here. And it should work from this point. So sometimes you have to do a little remapping here, but do it once, and it should work. So let's try loading a game. I'll just load up a save here so we can demonstrate whether the controller feels good or not. Now, one problem you might run into with Pimax with this is it has a fan on the back. So it might be a good idea to kind of push the device up a bit to give it a little bit of air. Still holds it pretty well because the Pimax is pretty thick, but when you got that fan running, you actually don't want your device to overheat. So this controller is way more easy to do analog inputs on than the one that comes with the Pimax. So you can actually make him walk slowly. Now, for a game like this, I'm not really noticing a horrible amount of input lag, so I guess it's manageable here. And don't really have rhythm games installed on this to test, but seems to be responsive enough. Yep, am I not hitting the right button here? No. Oh, I don't have a shield. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't have a shield. That's why I wasn't blocking. Forgot this is a really early save. I don't think I have a shield equipped. Now that's kind of touchy. Yeah, I have a shield, I just don't have it equipped. Well, it seems to work right here. It's just in the menus. All right, now that I can actually block, back to the game. So in Baldur's Gate, the grand tradition is to go and break everything in the cellar. Otherwise, you don't get any items, or you get few items. So yeah, bartender, I got rid of your rat problem, but I also destroyed literally everything that you have in your cellar. And she seems okay with that. She doesn't care if you destroy literally every container, as long as the rats are gone. the Pimax actually packs a little punch to it. The chip in it is roughly equivalent to what you'll find in the Retroid Pocket 5 and the Retroid Pocket Mini. So it actually is, bugs aside, which I mentioned in my impressions video on this device, bugs aside, it's actually pretty good at running PlayStation 2 games. And I've heard there's actually is a fix for the Vulkan issue, which I haven't actually installed yet, but I will probably try that at some point when I get some time, because it requires rooting the device. But so far, this controller feels pretty decent to play with here on the Pimax. Certainly feels better than holding these things. Although again, want to make sure you got a little air here so the device doesn't overheat. You might be able to hear the fan on here. Yeah, this is way better for playing Dark Alliance than the controller that actually comes with this device. Yeah, not a rhythm game, but I don't feel that lag in the controller has been a problem with this game so far. Maybe there's slightly more lag than a wired controller here, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the gameplay, at least for this game. I did a quick round of Project Diva with this controller on the Pimax Portal, and funny thing is, it actually performed better for this rhythm game than the actual original controllers. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that these buttons on here are not very good, and the buttons on this Gamesir controller are just a lot better. So, didn't too bad, because I just did a quick, easy round of the first song just to see if the lag for the game was unbearable, and it did better than the controllers it came with. So, even though we're connecting through Bluetooth, it's at least not god-awful here. So I have another small tablet I use with a controller. This is the Razer Edge. Got Borderlands running on it at the moment. And the Razer Edge comes with this Kishi V2 Pro from Razer. And this controller actually works pretty good. I don't really have many complaints about this, other than for like another device like a tablet, it's not wide enough. Fits this one pretty well though. So I've paired up the G8 Plus with this. This does have air vents on the bottom, but since this tablet was designed to be used with a controller anyway, you'll notice that the air vents, unlike with the Pimax, the air vents here really aren't blocked by having the controller, which is a good thing. So if I wanted to use this with the Razer here, then shouldn't be any problem. Fits securely enough. Don't think it's coming out. And let's see how it works here with some Borderlands. See if we can shoot somewhat precisely. so. Not too bad so far. Let's see if I can get into this loot chest. There we go. Oh, a blue gun. This is fairly early in the game, so blue guns are actually somewhat rare. Too bad a haul from this little test of the controller. Seems decently accurate if you want to use this for the sniper rifle. Moving is pretty precise here. So far so good. Since I want to actually keep those blue guns, I think I'm going to go back to Sanctuary and save the game. I have a video up on making sure the DLC, like the Badass Crater of Badassitude and the Oasis, the Torg, and the Scarlet DLCs actually work on Borderlands Vita. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out on the channel as well. But I'm going to go back to Sanctuary and save my game so I can play with those weapons later on. But so far, looks like the Gamesir G8 Plus Bluetooth edition seems to be working pretty good so far. There is one other thing that I actually wanted to try with this that I definitely can't do with the Razer. So we're going to see how that works after I take the Razer out of this thing. So I have one more thing I would like to try here. Now, I don't have the software to do this on here, but I just want to see if this is a proof of concept. Now, this is a Galaxy Tab S10 Plus, so large tablet here. Now, I don't think, in fact I know, that I can't stretch this out and make it fit this way. Although I hear there are some modifications you can do to this to maybe make it stretch a little wider. We're not doing that now, but the thing I actually wanted to test was this. Oh, that'll work. So you could actually do portrait or vertical mode here. And you could make yourself a giant honking DS or 3DS. Or you could play vertically oriented shooters, so arcade games, at the correct orientation and have a nice controller. This actually holds this in pretty tightly. So I don't think this is going anywhere. Now normally I keep this tablet in a case, but I just took it out just to try it. I have a keyboard case. I know it's not going to work with this controller, but the tablet itself fits in there just fine. So you could have yourself, even if you have a big tablet like this Galaxy Tab S10, or if you have something like a big iPad, you can make yourself a vertical emulation setup. So it actually does fit. I was just curious to see if I could fit this in vertically, and it does. Horizontally is a no-go, I guess, unless I modify this thing somehow. But I may end up having to install the right software to play some games vertically on this tablet now. So that's our introduction to the Gamesir G8 Plus Galileo Bluetooth controller. So far, I like what I've experienced with it so far. It's actually a very comfortable device. There's some things we haven't done. These come off. They're magnetically attached, so you can replace the joystick tops. You can switch around A, B, X, and Y buttons if you like. If you're a Nintendo fan, haven't tested this with the Switch. I assume it'll work fine with the Switch. But again, my Switch's battery is dead, and didn't feel like reviving it just to play around with that. I've already got some controllers I use for the Switch anyway. Got this mainly for Android. So far so good. Put these tops back on. What I like about the controller, has a good feel to it. Grips are nice in the hand. The sticks work pretty well. I play mostly stick games. As you notice, I didn't really test out the D-pad all that much, just because, well, I think basically from just playing around with it in the games that I've tried, I think it's fine, but I am not the big D-pad connoisseur. I like the analog controls. I usually play more modern games with these more powerful handhelds anyway, where the sticks are focused. And the sticks actually on this feel pretty good. They're nice and smooth. It's easy to do precise motions on here. You've got your analog buttons here that you can actually switch to hair trigger mode if you like. So a lot of features on this device. You've got some programmable buttons on the back, and I usually don't use those, but they're there for people that want them. So a lot of things to like about this. Don't know about the battery life yet because just took it out of the box, but I imagine it'll last a while. I'll find out after I've given this a go for another week or so. This actually clips onto 8-inch tablets pretty well. It holds the devices in there pretty securely for what it is, and fits definitely a good number of phones, even some big tablets in vertical orientation. So interesting feature I'm going to have to try out. I like old school arcade games, so that'll be a boon for that, I think, playing on a big tablet with a controller in the correct orientation. Now, some things that might be less good. I think the only thing that's really maybe a downside with this is having to use arcane button combinations to make this do stuff. Like, oh, if I want to pair it with Android, I got to remember to hit the button and then A, and if I want to make it a dual shock, I have to remember to B, and I think Switch is Y. I don't remember off the top of my head. So you have to do button combinations. Luckily, if you're only pairing it with one device or so, then you don't have to do them more than once. But, you know, and there's a lot of features here. It's just that a lot of them are stuck behind like arcane button combinations. Like I accidentally activated the turbo fire mode. It actually does have one, which I didn't want to. So there are some things like that, but that's actually a relatively minor nitpick. You'll definitely want to keep the paper around for just remembering where some of these features are if you don't use them that much. But it is a very full-featured device, and you know, I like it. Just very minor nitpicks with it so far. Didn't seem to be terribly laggy on the devices I tested it with. I know a lot of Android Bluetooth devices kind of inherently add some lag that a USB-C controller wouldn't have, but at least for the games I tried out, it wasn't terribly noticeable. So, yeah, I'm satisfied with it so far, particularly since I got it on sale. Full price, it's a bit steep, but these controllers often go on sale, and you can pick them up for a lot more reasonable. So again, this is the Gamesir G8 Plus Galileo Bluetooth version. If you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like. And if you want to see more gaming-related content, and occasionally some other random things, remember to subscribe to the channel. And hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.